So, welcome back to the channel. I've been running this Focus ST for a few months now, and I thought I would share some of my thoughts with you quickly. It's a 2017 Focus ST. It's an ST3. That means it's fully loaded with everything. It's got all the options. I've done about 6,000 miles in this car. I bought it earlier in the year when I had a lot of mileage to cover. I used to have a really skanky Beta Golf. That let me down, so I thought enough with cheap old cars, we'll get a more modern car. So, what do I think about the Focus ST? Well, it's a mixture for me of really very good and surprisingly awful, I would say. That's how I sum it up. Generally though, it is good. It's done a very good job as a daily car. It's very practical, roomy. I use the hatchback a lot. Let me start with the good stuff. Good stuff first. I quite like the way it looks. I quite like the Ford brand. It's a quite unpretentious brand. It's a good, honest brand. All the Ford cars I've had before have been reliable and done their job well. And this is no exception. It's been a very reliable car. It's pretty comfortable though on long journeys. The seats are fantastic, suit me really well. I will say about these seats, with kids it's really useful to have electrically adjustable seats because you can raise the seat height right up for kids, and the seat belt fits them better. So I think that's a really good thing, although I would have preferred manually adjustable seats just to save the weight. I don't really see the need for electrically adjustable seats, but height adjustable seats are a really good thing for taking kids in the front seat. What else do I like about the ST? It has amazingly little turbo lag. Now, a really interesting comparison against the Integrale is the thing that really stands out dramatically is the difference in turbo lag. This EcoBoost unit is direct injection, and the manifold leads straight into the turbo, a pretty small turbo, and the lag or the response is astounding, and it's the most responsive turbo car I've driven. I'll attempt to demonstrate. Third gear, 2,000 revs, boost straight away. But let's try fourth. 2,000 revs. It's going to make it harder now. The Integrale would be, you could count to 10 before anything happened, probably longer. But let's try the Focus ST here. So this is fourth gear, 40 miles an hour. It just straight away, I mean, there's no noticeable lag. I mean, the boost gauge moves the moment you put your foot on the throttle. So how about a light throttle? Yeah, even a light throttle doesn't need large amount of throttle for the boost gauge to start coming around. So the most responsive turbo engine I've driven. Under 2,000 revs, fourth gear. Amazing, really. Driving position's great range of adjustment. A lot of the features are quite good. Reversing camera is great, even on a car with good visibility. What I will say about these full leather Recaros is they're actually quite a lot harder. The cushions are quite a lot firmer when you go for the full leather, and that makes the seat even more supportive in the corners, which is a real plus. Cornering wise, it's largely fantastic actually. I would say that turning into a corner, it's really good. Now, there are a few caveats to that, but let's just deal with the positives for now. The steering response is good. Now, significantly, this is the first electrically assisted car, e-Pass car, I've ever owned. So I've got a few thoughts on that coming up. It's quite quick. I wouldn't say shattering. It's quite interesting to see where this car is because it's got more power than the Escort Cosworth back in the day. it doesn't feel as quick as I remember that car, or certainly the Sierra Cosworth, but I think they were very light, or certainly the Sierra Cosworth was very light, and I think even with 204 horsepower that felt, back in the day, more impressive than this. However, 250 horsepower is a useful amount. It's, for a daily car, it's great because you can get past slower cars more safely. It's good. The overtaking mid-range punch is very strong. It's a very smooth engine, and it's quite refined. So again, on longer journeys, it's a breeze in this car. I've done quite a few very long journeys recently, and I've always got out of the car in comfort. So you'd expect good seats in a Ford, in a fast Ford, and this is no exception. Recaros, I don't recognise these seats from anywhere else, but they're really good. They hold you in place so well, and they're comfortable on long journeys. So every fast car should have seats like this, and Ford are always good at delivering on that. So what's it like on one of my favourite stretches of road? So I think it's a great daily car. It's a good, dependable daily car, just as you'd expect from a Ford Focus. But what's it like when the road clears and you've got a stretch of your favourite road? What's it like actually as a driver's car? Does it deliver on those few rare moments you get when the traffic clears? It's quick. I mean, it will cover ground quickly. It'll go from point A to point B on a B road quickly. It's effective, but there are some issues. So I'm going to turn to what I don't like about the Focus ST. I have to say, I thought that torque steer had been banished. I thought the engineers had got rid of it. Firstly, with the Elan M100, the Lotus Elan M100, which really did get rid of torque steer. And secondly, even Ford's famous Revo knuckle suspension design on the previous Focus RS, I thought famously got rid of torque steer. So it was a surprise and disappointment to find out that this car has loads of it. Now, the big problem for me came one day when I was overtaking a slow car and put my foot down to get past quickly. Turbo comes in straight away, fantastic mid-range pull, but I'm having to make steering corrections while overtaking. So even though some people out there might like the kind of scrabbly, wild front-wheel drive sensation when you're battling down a B road, when it actually comes to things like overtaking, I just don't think you should be having to make steering corrections just to keep the car going where you want it to. So I'm fundamentally opposed to the idea of front-wheel drive. I think cars are always better when the front wheels do the steering and the rear wheels do the powering. And this car's really kind of confirmed that for me. It just feels like a compromise too far. Again, it's just not an issue for everyday driving. It's irrelevant. But on the moments where you really want to drive, you're having to manage power delivery and steering all at the same time. So that does, I mean, you could argue that makes it quite exciting for people that like front-wheel drive cars. Maybe that makes it exciting. For me, that is a flaw I find hard to overlook, and it really makes me think what an amazing car this would have been in rear-wheel drive. If just had exactly this car, 250 horsepower rear-wheel drive Focus ST, what a fantastic car that would have been. So this car has really proven that front-wheel drive is not for me. The other thing I'm not very keen on with this car is the ride. Oof, as you just seen. It's incredibly firm, especially for an ST level product. Yeah, okay, we've got wheels spinny, scrabbly. Does that make it feel like something exciting's happening when really it isn't? I suppose that's part of the appeal. But the ride for me is too firm, and now this car's on the 19-inch wheels, and I believe it was really developed around 18-inch wheels, so that might be contributing, but I think it's too firm. Again, I think for an ST it should have had a lovely compliant ride. It would have made it a faster car down a B road as well. So those are the two main negatives for me, really. Now, we need to talk about steering. First E-Pass car I've ever owned. Here's a nice section of road. What is the steering like? It's very sharp, very precise and accurate. The car turns fantastically well. Almost the harder you push, the better this chassis feels. It feels very rigid. The steering response is fantastically quick, and the way the car loads up side to side works really, really well. So, as I said, it's fantastic into a corner. Where things go wrong is when you exit and power out of a corner, because you're having to manage a combination of scrabble, slip and torque steer, which means you can't go exactly where you point the car. So, can I demonstrate some torque steer for you? I mean, I suppose it's quite fun in a hot hatch sort of way to scrabble about the place and slip and wheel spin, because you're not getting oversteer, so I guess it sort of delivers you the drama in another way, but come on lads, dynamically it's a bit pants. So, steering, I said it's a quick system. It's a classic case of a system that's so quick and accurate that you think that the car steers really well. But is there any actual feel coming back? I don't know. So just to break it down, there are two things really. There's steering response and there's steering feel. Steering feel is the one that some people would argue is even a subjective thing. And does a lack of steering feel matter on a daily car? I have to say, although it's something I hold very dear, you can live without steering feel very easily as a daily car. I mean, for that you just want light steering, don't you, really, for parking and stuff like that. So again, this steers really nicely the car to my input. So I put an input in, the car responds really well, really accurate, but am I getting anything coming back? Not really. So it's confirmed really what I thought about E-Pass. But on the flip side, it's surprising how well you can get by without it. It shouldn't really be a deal breaker. You can still enjoy driving the car, but you get back into a really nice hydraulic setup, and then you remember what you're missing. I mean, it is a fun car, it's a quick car, but I just can't help wonder what it would have been like in rear-wheel drive. So, I think this is probably, almost certainly this is the last front-wheel drive car I will buy. But I really do like the Focus. I like Ford. I like the rest of the car. It's a really great package. It's that bit more usable for a family than a Fiesta. So I think you can see where this is leading. So keep watching the channel, please. Thank you for watching, as always. The conclusion of this video will be coming very soon. Until then, thumbs up if you like the video,